Hello folks, for this video I'm going to talk about all the various drawing instruments and do a review of them. Most of my drawing is done with just a number 2 pencil. As I've shown you before, if you're doing large preparatory work, you want to hold your pencil like this. Most of my drawing is done holding the pencil fairly loosely like this. When you have to move in to do some detail work, this is how we hold the pencil. Obviously the way we were taught to write, because you can have a lot more control. But sometimes drawing like this, if you draw everything like this, you have too much control when you tighten up and you have tension, and it does not help you do a nice drawing. You got to loosen up and roll with it, you know? You just got to go and not work too tightly. All right, so that is the pencil. Obviously we need to sharpen them. Any kind of sharpener will do. This happens to be an old one, and we just want to have a nice sharp lead once in a while. So, nice sharp lead. Some folks, not me, oh, where's my knife? Oh, I've lost it again. Oh, here we go. Some folks like a nice elongated point, and you have to obviously, you know, be careful with these knives. So remove some of the wood, exposing a little bit of the lead, a little bit more than you would think, and we continue like that, trying not to break the lead, which I think I just did. Nope. Oh, we're good. Okay, the day is saved. All right, along with that, we always need a drafting brush to clean up our mess, put it on the floor for cleanup later. So what happens is we have this nice point, take a piece of sandpaper, kind of rotate it in your fingertips, drag it across the sandpaper, a little bit more, maybe a nice, really elongated point. Reason for that is you can get these nice, really thin lines, and you have to constantly sharpen it or constantly use the sandpaper as you roll along. But what a lot of folks like about this, and you know, it's interesting, is to use the side of the pencil. You can do shading, you know, with a lot less effort rather than trying to shade, you know, like that. So that pretty much covers it for the pencil. A lot of companies sell these really nice little drawing kits, yeah, little tin, very fancy, only about $10 or so. I do not use these because I find having to figure out what every pencil does, like this one is a hard one, so it does a very light. This one is very soft, so it does a very, very dark line. I feel like I'm taking a math test every time I use these, so unless you're a glutton for punishment, I don't recommend it. So we'll put that aside. Mainly back to the pencil. If I need a light line, I just use the pencil lightly. And if you need a darker line, you just press on the pencil using more strength. So starting in one corner, going to the other, you see, you just use more and more and more. And then going back to using the side of the pencil. Again, very light shading, and then a firmer and more firm as you go along, and then back to light here. So you can get a nice shade. You can do everything with this pencil, so that's what I use. Let's see, do we talk about erasers? We need an eraser. This is the best eraser that you can buy. It's just a piece of white plastic, I don't even know. Yeah, white plastic. And you just, as you use it, obviously you can just, to keep it clean, I keep it in this little cardboard container, and as you need it, you can move it out like that. They do get kind of dirty. What I sometimes do also is I'll take a knife and cut a piece of that off. That way, if I need, you know, to really get in and do some detail erasing, like a little line like that, you get that nice little sharp edge, and you can really clean things up pretty easily. All right, that eraser material is also available in a little stick, which you can adjust in this holder and use as needed, and then as it wears down on you, obviously you just bring a little bit more of that eraser out and so forth. So there's your eraser. Really exciting, Claudia, I know. That's my wife I'm referring to. She gives me advice on my videos. All right, so let's see. Blending stump. Where's our pencil? We've lost it again. All right, so let's do our shade. Let's do some lines apart like that. And what a blending stump is a roll of paper, and you just use it thusly to blend parts of your drawing like that. For example, if you had, you know, some tree line in the background, and you wanted a nice big oak tree up front, you know, something like that, and you want it to stand out more strongly, then what you're going to do is you're going to blur the background to push this area back in the distance, like it's off the distance or foggy. Helps you work with aerial perspective techniques. All right, so let's see, where are we? We got rid of that pencil again. Another kind of pencil that I think it was popular in the 1950s was this carpenter pencil. What it does, aside from you can just draw by holding it like this, you know, just using the tip. The interesting thing about this pencil, and it looks like I need a little sandpaper activity here. The interesting thing about this pencil is its ability to make square or rectangular lines. So if I, for example, wanted to create a tree, you know, you can see I can scrub in these little areas like that, and then use the tip. Something like that. So you get a little bush there. Just something interesting. What else we got? Mechanical pencil. I think this is also called an architect's pencil. And it is for very, very fine lines, something like that. You could certainly do nice drawings with this. I find it takes an awful lot of effort. If you're a person who likes to do really nice little detail things like this, you know, it works. It's just a very fine drawing point, and it takes a lot of time to put a drawing together. What else we got? We got another type of mechanical pencil which holds a larger lead. You see, that comes like that. This is actually one of my favorite drawing pencils. I've got this square thing on it, or this triangular thing on it that keeps it from rolling away, which is pretty nice. Again, don't know where it came from, but, you know, good luck finding it. So, you know, it's a nice, this is actually a pretty hard point. It also comes, I think this is not quite an antique, but pretty old. It comes with various values of hardness and lightness. I usually just find one that's somewhat soft and just keep on going. What I like about this is if I want to do something like a landscape and I don't want to use graphite, then I'll go back to this sort of burnt sienna colored. And, you know, a little bit red-brown color. Works the same sort of way, light, dark, very versatile. All right, so let's see, we covered that. We covered the leads. What else we got? Ink pen, oh yeah. Bic pen, or some other brand. And Bic, if you want to send me a check for that bonus advertisement, you please feel free. I do not use this for drawing a lot. There's a lot of people who do, and, you know, it's skipping a little bit, of course. You can do some amazing drawings with these because you can control light to dark with pressure, just like you can with a pencil. Again, other people have done this. I don't use this. You can do a lot of work using color Bic pens too, and you can do some incredibly realistic drawings with this. Bic pen, you're out of here. Where else we got? Silver point. Silver point is actually what you call it. It is a silver wire in a mechanical pencil. This is a very old technique dating back to probably before the time of Da Vinci, and this is something he used a lot of. You actually need a toned paper. Not a toned paper. You need a gessoed paper or a some type of rough paper so that the silver will show up. You're actually abrading the silver. As you can see, it does not show up very well on regular paper. You need some kind of gessoed surface. The interesting thing about this is that over time they tarnish, the silver tarnishes into a beautiful, beautiful patina, and it makes for an interesting drawing. Along with this, artists used to also draw with gold wire, if you can believe that. Can't imagine what expensive that would be, but you know, maybe one day I'll try it. So that's, again, silver point, a very ancient technique. Speaking of ancient techniques, there's charcoal, which is essentially a burned stick. I guess this goes back further than Leonardo. This goes back to folks just grabbing a charred end of a stick out of the fire and drawing on a cave wall, and that's essentially what charcoal is. It's just extremely powdery, dark medium that you can do, again, very subtle effects with, and of course you break it. I use mostly vine charcoal, something like that, which does break very easily, but you know, you can just keep on using it until it's gone. I use this sometimes to prepare drawings on canvas that I'm going to paint over. It's a nice medium for that because it kind of disappears when you paint over it, and it gets absorbed to the paint. The eraser we use for charcoal drawing is called a kneaded eraser, and that's because you can knead it like bread and warm it up and move it around, and it kind of absorbs the charcoal dust as you go. The thing about this is you can turn it to a nice little point and come in here and pull out highlights, pull out parts of your drawing like that. And that's what a kneaded eraser does. And let's see, what else we got? Charcoal pencil. Actually nice because these get all over your fingers and they make a mess. Speaking of a mess, you can see that my drawing is getting very smudged. So that's when our friend piece of tracing paper comes in, not to be used to trace anything, but we use it to cover our paper or our drawing that we may already be working on, so we can go back and work on something else without ruining it. All right, my charcoal pencil is pretty dull. So back to the old, see if the sharpener will do it without breaking that lead. There we go, good enough. Up, dusty brush, here we go. Look how I've smeared my charcoal. Speaking of which, if you're gonna do charcoal drawings, you really need to use some sort of fixative. I think Krylon makes one available, and it's called charcoal fixative or drawing fixative, available at any art supply place. Again, back to a charcoal pencil. They come in various grades. This happens to be a medium dark. So, you know, works very much like the stick, only you can get a lot more detail with it. It's a little bit easier to use. Doesn't break. So there you go. Charcoal, we covered charcoal. White charcoal. So to show that, I'm just going to grab a piece of black paper. What's interesting about this, actually, let's use a piece of toned paper. That would work better. What is interesting about this, we got a piece of toned paper, is you can work with let's say we're gonna draw this rectangle here. Actually, it's a square, isn't it? All right, so I'm gonna do this rectangle. Square, come on. Pay attention, Wiley. All right, so we've got this square, and let's say our light source is up here somewhere. So this is gonna be our dark side. This is going to be our not so dark side, because it's catching a little bit of light. And up here is going to be the light part. So you see how that kind of works? Let's put this on a little tabletop. Create a little shadow. Again, darker as it gets near the cube. Something like that. Another example would be if we like to use squares and spheres and triangles for demonstration purposes. So let's just go with that. So we've got a sphere here. We use the charcoal for the shadow, and it's floating over top the table. So we'll do a little shadow like that where it's floating. And then, you know, the sun is here, so we're going to give it, you know, it's a shiny glass marble or something, maybe a little reflected light there with the white. So you see how that works? Very interesting. So you got the white for your lights, the charcoal for your darks, and the tone paper becomes your middle ground. All right, so that's charcoal and white charcoal. Where else are we? We did pens. Lithographic crayon. I think this is also called a grease marker or grease pencil, and they're sharpened by peeling a piece of paper and taking it off like that. Isn't that fun? I think sometimes people just peel it just to see that little activity. All right, so these make an interesting mark on paper. These were originally, maybe not invented, but these were originally used to do drawings on limestone sheets or limestone blocks. And what that was for is the ink you would ink the block. You draw on the block, then you ink the block. The ink would sit on the areas where you use the marker, and it would be absorbed into the limestone. And then when you run the stone and a piece of paper through the press, a printing press, the ink that sits on there is transferred to the print. And that's how a great many early lithographic prints were done. Multiple pieces of limestone and multiple drawings, it was how they created a full color system. Speaking of which, I also have that, and this comes in many colors, well, only about a half a dozen really, the primary colors. I use a black and I use a brown. I use these just for regular preparatory drawing, and I also use them on canvas when I'm doing a preliminary drawing in preparation for an oil painting or an acrylic painting. This does not get absorbed into the paint like charcoal does, so it's useful, but you gotta realize that your lines are not gonna disappear unless you're really loaded up with paint. All right, let's see what else we got. Brown or burnt umber colored color pencil. This is actually called wood core or color core because it's got the color all the way through it. And here we go. Just if you like to draw in a style that looks somewhat older or more antique, then this is a nice tool for that. Where else we got? Let's see. We did all those. We did. Here we go. Conte crayon. These are somewhat, they're more like a wax than anything, and they're available in different types of kits. I think this is actually a portrait kit. You can see it's got the grays, whites, blacks, and sepias. They come in landscape kits that have greens and blues and yellows and that sort of thing. Nice color. More a newer update on an old style material. And again, a very nice, interesting color too. All right, so just like these are also very good on tone paper. The same sort of thing where you have the light and the dark. Only in this case, you're using, blacks and browns and the whites and the grays. You might even stick a little gray in here. Transitional, like a transitional value. And we can, of course, come back to our old friend, the blending stump. Blend these. Just like charcoal, this medium really needs to be sprayed with some fixative when you're done because it just dusts off if you don't. All right, you get a nice, see how you get a nice sharp edge here, blurred edges there, that sort of thing. All right, let's see, that was Conte crayons. Don't use those much anymore, but there was a time when I did. I always like to try new things, experiment with materials, learn what they're capable of, move on to the next thing. All right, so it's our tone paper. What else we got? This is just a kit I picked up somewhere. This is a coarse lead drawing pencil, again, used for larger work. It comes in this little tin, blacks, browns, various levels of hard and soft. So I like this, but it's not really what you'd call a detail pencil. Well, I guess you can get a fairly nice line with it, but it's a coarse lead. It's good for shading and doing larger types of drawings. Obviously, it comes with other colors, as you can see. All right, so there we go with that. What else we got? Oh, here's one of my favorite kits. I use this for outdoor sketching. And I think I might have gotten this off of Amazon. It's a sketchbook. It's got charcoal pencils of various degrees, sepia pencils, and then various drawing pencils. I mainly just use the medium soft ones. But if you're out in the field, you're doing a little sketching, maybe in preparation for another painting, then you use, you know, the brown, the pencil. I mean, you got lots of variety here, so it's a nice, complete kit. Don't forget your sharpener. All right, where are we? Oh, let's see, we covered all that. I'm looking around my pile here. I did the kits. Oh, there's also a Sharpie, but you know, that's more something I guess I'll cover in a session. I'll do another video on ink, and we'll leave that for then. And let's see, here we go. That's about it. I guess we'll do colored pencils later, and we'll do ink pencils later. Here is my favorite pencil, and I don't know what to do with it, but it's a pencil that makes different colors. So let's see, what do we got? We got some regular paper here somewhere. Oh, to the paper department. All right, so we'll put some paper here, and maybe we'll just take this crazy pencil, and we'll do a psychedelic snowman, so you can see what you can do with these things. He's got a blue eye, green eye, purple nose, you know, some different color coal for his mouth and his buttons. So as you rotate this pencil, it exposes this point, which has these tiny little bits of different colors, all molded into some crazy point. You can think of what to do with this pencil. Please let me know. I'm anxious to use it, but you know, what are you supposed to do with it? Maybe my Claudia has an answer. All right, so there we go. So he's a crazy one. All right, so there we go. All right, and I think that just concludes pretty much what we're going to do today. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.